Tally-ho, goodies and goodmen, welcome to the Crucible by Arthur Miller. As soon as you've got a hammer, everything starts looking like a nail, and in this play it is the Hammer of Witches. It deals with a terrible witch hunt in Salem, Massachusetts in 1692 and simultaneously with a hunt for communists in the USA at the time of the play's writing in 1953. Today's cast are John Proctor, around 35, very masculine and proud, and married to Elizabeth, who has borne him 3 children and a couple of months ago has fired the servant Abigail Williams for being rather pretty and ruthless, in 1692 terms, and having an affair with John. Her successor, Mary Warren, rather belongs to the species hen than the species swan. Abby now lives in the house of her uncle Samuel Parris once again. He's the not-too-well-beloved parish priest, who has a daughter named Betty. At the play's beginning, she's unnaturally sick, which is why the priest of the neighboring village, John Hale, is being consulted. He's an experienced witch hunter. Then there's the rich and unsympathetic farmers Mr. and Mrs. Putnam, as well as the rather quirky old farmer Giles Corey and the saintly old Rebecca Nurse. And in the second part, Vice Governor and Judge Danforth. Originally, he's got a colleague named Hathorne, but we're leaving him out. Naturally, there's more citizens of Salem, which is an extremely Puritan village. The concept of fun hasn't been heard of, unlike the idea of sin. This is why the villagers consider it good entertainment when the vicar's daughter falls seriously ill. Everybody noses around his house just to check on the development. At the beginning, the doctor's daughter is there. "So, what does the doctor say, Susanna?" Here's the referral to the witch hunter. "No, and don't you say a word about witchcraft. And what were you doing when I caught the lot of you in the forest, Abby? Oh, we just had a sing-along around the campfire. Conjuring spirits, dancing naked, and you're innocent? The cheek!" And in this moment, the Putnams barge in and go, "So is she flying again?" "No, nobody's flying here. There's no witchcraft." "No witchcraft, Vicar. Of course there's witchcraft in this village. How else could my 7 babies have died in their cradle?" "No. Your slave Tituba was to conjure the ghosts last night." "Conjuring spirits? That was only research in a case of witchcraft. You tell the congregation." So they all go. The girls remain and are joined by Mary Warren. "If anyone asks, Tituba has conjured up ghosts, Mercy danced naked, and no more." "But you gotta tell them everything, Abby. You get a hiding and that's it." "We'll get a hiding." "No, I only looked." And Betty wants to freak out a little because she doesn't get enough attention. "I want to fly to Mama." And in this moment, John Proctor enters and goes, "Get yourself home, Mary Warren." "At once, sir." And all the others leave except for Betty and Abigail. And he goes, "What's this humbug all about?" "Oh, we were just dancing a little naked in the forest." "You would have liked to see that, wouldn't you?" "No, it's over, Abby." And when Betty cries again, the whole village storms into the room and the vicar goes, "Proctor, what have you been up to?" And Rebecca Nurse sits on Betty's bed for a minute and then goes, "Well, children have their 5 minutes from time to time. Don't take that too seriously. I'm 11 times a mother and 26 times a grandmother. This is witchcraft!" And Giles Corey comes too, and the congregation is having a nice little fight about land and wood when Vicar Hale enters. "Thanks for calling the witch hunters. Please specify the type of your emergency." And Rebecca goes, "Goodness me, I don't want to see this." And she leaves together with John while Giles asks, "I've got a question to an expert. What signifies the reading of strange books? My wife always does, and then hides the books." "Well, she probably wants to start a YouTube channel about world literature." "No, that doesn't exist yet." "Well, it doesn't have to be a bad sign." "Thanks." So he addresses Betty. "Hey, are you obsessed?" And then he asks Abby, "Abby, what was this dancing in the forest all about?" "Oh, just a little sing-along. Okay, there was a toad in the soup and chicken blood and conjuring spirits, but that was only Tituba." And so, absolutely without prejudice, the black servant of the priest is being interrogated. She comes in and he goes, "Okay, Tituba, either we beat you to death or you will confess to being in league with the devil." Surprisingly, she goes, "I'm in league with the devil and he's got white witches in Salem too." "Aha! Whom? Good? Osborne Bishop?" "I saw Goody Osborne and Goody Bishop with the devil." "Hallelujah! And he told me to kill you, Vicar." "Oops!" When Abby jumps forward and goes, "I saw Goody Osborne and Goody Bishop with the devil too." Naturally, Betty wants to join this too and goes, "And me too, I saw George Jacobs and Goody Howe." And Putnam goes, "I'll get the marshal." And many people are arrested. A week later, we visit the Proctor's house where John returns from a hard day's work and is greeted in the usual cordial way by his wife. Been to town again?" "I haven't been to town. I've sewed." "Where's Mary Warren?" "Condemning witches at the so-called court because you didn't tell anyone that Abby admitted it was all humbug." "I am thinking about it." "Just because it's Abby." When Mary enters and he goes, "You will never go to that court again." "But I'm a court official now." "I'll official you. We have to stick together now, which is why I made you a puppet, Goody Proctor." And she's quite surprised and goes, "Oh, thanks, nice puppet." When Mr. Hale enters and goes, "Hello, good evening. I'm totally unofficially here. Why don't you go to church and one of your children isn't baptized? Because Paris is an asshole." "Well, repeat the 10 commandments for me, will you? Thou shalt not steal, lie, kill, adultery, John." "Exactly. And by the way, Abigail said it was all fraud and no witchcraft." "What?" When Giles comes and goes, "John, they've arrested my wife and Rebecca." And the marshal is next and goes, "Goody Proctor, you're arrested. Are there any puppets in the house?" "Oops, there's a needle in that puppet." "Why, what's that mean?" "Abigail Williams was attacked with a needle and it was your spirit, Goody Proctor, whom you sent out with the help of this puppet." "That girl's a killer." "You're arrested," and he takes her away. Proctor can't prevent it because there's a bunch of men outside and he goes, "Hale, do something." "Well, if she's innocent, she'll go scot-free." "If, Mary." "Yes." "You will tell the truth." "No." After the first performance, Miller wrote another scene in which John and Abigail meet another time. The scene is set at night, which is why we switch off the light here. "John, finally." "Abigail, you tell them now that this is all a fraud." "No way, I'm doing a holy job and then we'll get married." "No way, I'd rather tell them that we—" "No, you won't. You're secretly glad you're rid of Lizzie." "No." And thus, unfortunately, an unbureaucratic solution of the problem is prevented. The village assembly house is being used as the courtroom of the witch court now, and Giles Corey is just trying to correct his mistake of a few weeks ago and goes, "I have evidence that Putnam is killing people for land," when John Proctor enters with Mary and goes, "Excuse me, Mary Warren's got to say something to the court. She has lied and all the other girls are lying too." "What? He's come to topple the court, sir." "No, sir, I'm here to save my wife." "Your wife," Danforth goes, "has told us this morning that she's pregnant." "Well, that must be true then." "So she's safe for 9 months. You still want to press these charges?" "I have to, for Giles' wife and Rebecca's sake." "Right then, we'll first of all arrest Giles Corey and all the other supporters of Nurse and Proctor. And now to your statement, Mary." "Tell the truth, Mary. Did he make you do this?" "No." And she hands in a written deposition, and all the other girls are asked in to be confronted with these charges. And when they have all taken their places, Danforth goes, "Right, my dears, Proctor here and Mary state that you all lie. You, Abby, want to kill Goody Proctor, and you all danced naked and godless in the forest." And very suitably, Abigail is taken by a fit of obsession. Proctor's fed up with it all and goes, "This is a whore. I've committed adultery with her." "What? Does your wife know this?" Of course she knows, that's why she fired her. "Fetch Goody Proctor." And Abigail and Proctor have to face the wall now. Nobody in the room is to give away what has been said. Then Danforth addresses Goody Proctor going, "Why did you fire Abigail Williams?" Why?" "Because she didn't satisfy me, in the sense of working, and she flirted with my husband." "Is your husband an adulterer?" Look into my eyes." "No." "Elizabeth, I've confessed it." "Oh, bugger it." So then Elizabeth is taken away again, and for good measure, Abby now wants to pull Mary to the dark side again and gives her hell. "Stop it, Abby!" "Stop it, Abby!" The girls all echo her now. "Tell the truth, Mary." "No, you bewitched me, Mr. Proctor!" And returns to her comrades, and Paris goes, "You wizard, you're arrested!" And Proctor goes, "God is dead," before he's taken into custody. Hale is disgusted with the proceedings and goes, "I quit, I'm out, I'm leaving this court." 3 months later, Proctor, Rebecca, and Mrs. Corey are to be executed. In the night before the execution, we find ourselves in the parish prison, and Paris has called Danforth once more. "Mr. Hale has come back and tries to make the prisoners confess and thus save themselves, and my niece Abigail has run off and taken all my money." "You fucker! Could we perhaps postpone a little?" "No postponement, but send Proctor to his wife again, maybe he'll confess then." So John is allowed to see his wife once more and goes, "Elizabeth!" "John, how are you?" "Quite all right, but Giles is dead. They tortured him with stones on his breast so he would say anything to his indictment, but all he said was more weight. Listen, I have considered confessing. It's a lie, but we'll survive. Will you pardon me for that?" "You have to pardon yourself." And the marshal enters and goes, "So, I'll confess." And in a hurry, the whole crowd is there, and Danforth addresses him, "So you are in league with the devil?" And his words are being protocoled, and he goes, "Yeah." "So who did you see with the devil?" "Nobody." "Well, that's enough, sign here," and Proctor barely forces himself to sign the confession, but then he snatches it from Paris and goes, "This is not going to be published at the church door. Don't you people ever think about privacy at all? Then it's not valid. Fine by me, fuck you, it was all a lie anyway. Or was it? Then hang him high above the town." And Hale jumps to the front and goes, "Proctor, you can't do this." "Yes, I can," and he tears the confession apart. "This is the first time that witchcraft takes place around here, because I'm beginning to see a little goodness in myself." And thus upright John and Rebecca and Mrs. Corey die on the gallows, while Elizabeth is weeping for her husband. And this, dear congregation, was The Crucible by Arthur Miller.
Vielen Dank.